Everyone, today I'm going to share with you Josh's story. See, Josh had been trying to make trading work forever. He was overwhelmed by the countless strategies online, the noise, the countless resources, many of which contradict each other, and in his own words, ended up mostly gambling. So he needed to make this work for him, or he'd have to go back to a 9 to 5. So we worked with him and we've managed to build him strategies that are profitable in any market conditions. He's made money in bull markets, he's made money in bear markets, and doesn't have to go back to the 9 to 5. So this is another example that if you're prepared to follow the right path and put in the work, you can absolutely get results and freedom from trading. Transparently, I share these so you guys see what we teach works and consider joining the program yourselves. So, Josh, welcome. Great to have you here. Thanks for joining us today. Before we dive into today's call, could you give us an introduction on your trading history and background?
Yeah, so before I started uh the mentorship, I really didn't have a trading history. I would say it was more of a gambling problem. I kind of found out what leverage trading was in 2021 when I joined crypto, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool. Um I can make more money with less money." And th there was no strategy, no logic to it, and no stop loss. So it was kind of just like, I heard good things about this coin. I will, I'll go on 10x leverage. And I wasn't really trading. There was, um, I guess to summarize it, I lost a lot of money as you do
Mm-hmm.
anytime you gamble consistently. Um, so that was kind of the process of me just taking bets that had no real rhyme or reason, and then losing, and then trying to make it all back.
So, what was your situation like before the mentorship? You said you were taking trades without rhyme or reason. What does that mean? Was it large amounts? Was it small, consistent amounts? What did the journey look like?
Yeah, so when I first started in 2021, it was smaller amounts, and then and by no rhyme or reason, I kind of mean like if I saw somebody post something about a coin on Twitter, and I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna go up a ton. I would take a position not on a short term, but like this is gonna go up. This is gonna 100x. So let me jump in with 10x leverage. Surely it won't go back down to my stop loss price. And so that it was just basically seeing information on Twitter. I wasn't going off of any indicators on a chart. I would just kind of jump in based on information or a gut feeling, and the amounts got larger as I needed or as I wanted to make it all back. I think the idea was just like, I'm gonna really hit big on one of these coins,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything will be okay, and that'll make up for all the money that I've lost. And that did not that did not work out. So before joining the mentorship, I had actually stopped trading at all. I had spot positions, but I was like, this isn't for me. Um, I'm gonna keep losing money. So I was actually pretty scared of trading before I joined the mentorship. But I knew it was something that I wanted to learn and essentially be able to do for a living at one point. But I knew I needed a strategy.
Can I ask how much you ended up losing before you decided I need to stop this?
That's a good question. I mean, relatively to some people, probably not a lot. I would say upwards of at least 20,000, 30,000. So a, a lot for me.
And what impact did that have on your life?
Um, Mainly, so fortunately for me, it wasn't something where, like I couldn't pay my bills. It didn't devastate me financially. Um, but it definitely hurt my confidence as far as it just made me feel like not only a failure, but really undisciplined. And I've been someone who's really big on discipline throughout my life. So seeing something that, I said I would never do this again, and I'm doing it again consistently, I think had a bigger effect on me mentally and emotionally
Mhm.
than anything else. Losing the money also sucked, but I think it was more just the way that I felt about myself that I was doing it.
Before the mentorship, did you try anything yourself to solve the problem?
So I had said like, okay, I'm actually gonna take this seriously, and I'm gonna try to learn. And same thing, kind of like I relied on Twitter. I went to Twitter, looked, went on YouTube, and I found, I think, too much information, too much information that was contradicting the other information I was getting, and there was just it was information overload. So many indicators, and do this, never do that, and even from the people that I felt like knew what they were talking about, I didn't know where to start, and so it either seemed too complicated or I just kind of had shiny object syndrome where I would kind of start to look into one thing and then I was like, oh no, this looks like the best strategy, and I would jump over there and never really learned, and certainly never had a process to learn, which I think was another hurdle that kept me from really getting started.
Too much information, too complicated, no real way of deciphering what's good, what's bad, and some of it even contradicts each other. Uh, it's funny because when I started, there wasn't really that much at all. 7, 8 years ago in the space for trading, there was loads of books, but online, especially in crypto, if you narrow it down to that niche, wasn't that much. Now it's too much, and it's
Yeah.
become one of the biggest problems.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I come from like a real estate investing background, and it was the same exact problem that I had with real estate when I got started. Was everybody flip, no do this, no do that, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and I could never be successful because I would jump from thing to thing. And so, yeah, I found a real estate mentor that really helped me become successful in that, and so that's why I even kind of started looking into, okay, maybe I should get a mentor for this as well. But it was definitely, crypto is flooded with mentors and information and educational posts, and it was just too much, I think, to kind of try to navigate on my own.
So how and why, in the midst of all that, did you find us?
Yeah, so I had followed you on Twitter since I think relatively when I got into crypto. Um, so I always saw your post, and I noticed that your posts seemed to be, you weren't like posting a lot of flashy P&Ls, and you weren't, um, I think it seemed like you weren't trying to sell anyone a dream, and that like what you did post was useful. So that was cool. And I kind of, as I stayed in crypto, filtered out some of the accounts that I learned were um, not as genuine. So I always had you still on Twitter, and then I joined your Telegram. Um, And as I heard you, mention that you were working with students, I think the thing that drew me in the most was you weren't selling a dream of like you're going to get rich quick, and you weren't posting trade signals, which um, was important to me because I wanted to learn how to trade. I didn't want to know what trades to take. I wanted to learn, and part of it I think was just gut level intuition. You seemed like you actually knew what you were talking about, but it also seemed like you weren't trying to lie to me and, entice me to join out of, some idea that I'd be the best trader ever or I'd make $1 million overnight. So that was important to me because I'm very skeptical. Just like with real estate, where any field there's a ton of mentors, really hard to pick one that is truly helpful and cares and isn't going to give you something you could just find on YouTube with one click. So yeah, it just seemed like you were genuine and you were actually realistic about what I could get from the mentorship.
So realistic expectations and not flashing ridiculous P&Ls or untasteful wealth flexes, which normally are just ways of deviating from talking about your actual service and what you do. Instead, just show the shiny car at the end and make people assume that the shiny car has something to do with your service. Uh, so really glad that
Exactly.
messaging was correct there and gave you the right vibes. You decided to make the move forward. Uh, did you have any doubts or hesitations though, despite that?
Um, Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'm just really skeptical when it comes to
Hmm.
mentorships, especially with my background. I've joined mentorships in real estate that just didn't care about their students at all until I found the ones that um, were really super. They played a big part in me becoming successful. So with this one, I didn't know if it was going to be the same thing of like, do these people care? Is this information really going to help me? Could I have done this by myself? Though I was definitely skeptical, and to the point of the question before, another thing that really attracted me to this program was the emphasis on emotions, meditation, regulating your emotions. All of that made a lot of sense to me because I saw how emotional I got and the type of decisions I made when I was gambling with coins. So
Mm.
the fact that you guys, that you talked about learning how to regulate your emotions made a ton of sense. And I knew that I would at least get a better idea of that from the mentorship. But I was still skeptical as to whether or not it was, you know, going to be worth the money and time. But I had a pretty good feeling about it.
Besides the general vibe, what you mentioned with us not triggering any red flags with unrealistic expectations, was there anything that in particular that you can isolate that made you say, yes, I'm going to go forward with this?
I think it was definitely definitely part of it was some of your posts in Telegram.
Mm.
Watching some of the things like when you did explain why you took a trade, um, you weren't just saying take this trade. You actually broke it down. And you broke it down in a way that you explained it in a way that actually made sense to me, that seemed simple. Um, so that was enticing. I was kind of like, okay, I want to learn more from him. And so seeing what you posted in Telegram was a big part of it. And then I think, yeah, the emphasis on the emotions and like overcoming the mental hurdles. I didn't really hear any other traders or people offering mentorships talk about that. And so I think that and me being interested in meditation was kind of what made me actually decide to pull the trigger.
So, how's your trading going now?
It's going really well. It's been really cool to see the progress I've made over the months. And to that point, the idea of keeping a journal. I heard that first from you, and I was like, that sounds boring, but it's been so helpful, and to be able to see the trades I was taking in the beginning of the program versus what I know now and the type of setups that I will avoid now has been really cool to see. And I've been consistently profitable, and not only consistently profitable, but with the same strategies over and over again. And those are strategies that have worked. We've seen some turbulent times in the last 6 months. So it's worked when things are crashing, and it's worked when things were going up, and in between. So having a strategy for each condition and seeing me repeatedly be profitable on that. Um, has been really cool. It's helped to build my confidence overall.
Well, you've crushed it. We just helped point you in the right direction. What are the key changes you've made that have taken you from gambling and having to quit trading to being consistently profitable in a variety of market conditions?
Yeah, so the key changes I think were mainly sticking to one thing. And I really liked how in the program that's how you guys approached it is okay, we're gonna focus on this one thing for this month and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna tweak it. So it wasn't like, hey, here, find a strategy for all these conditions at one time, it would have been information overload again. So I think the biggest changes was me sticking to one thing because I had a clear outline of what to do. You guys, as you said, pointed me in the direction to do that. And then I had the consistency and accountability of a daily journal and tracking that, which allowed me to stay consistent and put in the work because I knew where I was supposed to be putting in the work. And I was able to build off of that as opposed to just jumping to the next thing before I had made any progress in any one area.
So having clear focal points every single month to know what the most important thing to focus on was, having a clear
Mhm.
path that focused on one strategy, and also the journaling seems to have been the three key components you mentioned there. Did I miss anything?
No, you're exactly right, and I think that's a good point. Each month when, when I was working with the coaches, it was exactly that. This is the one thing we need to focus on. And that was the highlight at the end of every monthly review is okay, this is the next thing. This is the one thing to, focus your attention on, which was super helpful, especially, as I mentioned, where there was just so much coming at me at once before I started the program. It allowed, yeah, it built the consistency.
Yeah, speed of progress doesn't come from working really hard or doing a lot. It's just doing the right thing in the right order can outperform hours and hours of work every single day. And that's one of the key things we focus on. What is the one most important thing we need you to do right now to progress you as fast as possible towards your goals? So, what impact has your new approach to trading had on your life?
Yeah, so I think one of the things definitely is the confidence, because this was more like a dream, I think, before I started the program of, one, real estate had become really unfulfilling to me. And I'd been in it for years and I got to a point where I was burnt out and I just hated it. And I didn't want to go back to a 9 to 5. I know that I'm not cut out for a 9 to 5. Um, but it was scary. I didn't know like what can I do to make a living if I'm not doing this? And the idea of like, oh, if I could be a trader, that would be really cool. But I knew that I had lost a lot of money before, and so yeah, it just seemed kind of like an unrealistic dream. And as I've been in the program and as I've saw the results and the data of, okay, you are consistently profitable, you can actually do this. The confidence I've got from that has been amazing. The emotional regulation that I've learned through the journaling, through, the process of that and seeing what makes me tick and operate the way I do has also given me confidence and just better understanding myself and the freedom to know that okay, I'm actually going to be able to walk away from real estate and do this full time and be able to do it from anywhere and everything that comes from that has genuinely been life changing. I've been overall as the months have went on just in such a better mood because I see the light at the end of the tunnel and I know that I'm not going to be stuck in a career that had become soul crushing and I just hated waking up every day and having to do that. So um, seeing it come together where I have the freedom to move on has been um, it's been life changing.
Consistently profitable, confidence restored, and a route out of self-describe you described by you soul crushing 9 to 5. That's incredible to hear. Again, all credit to you because you've worked hard to get to where you are now, and all we can do is point you in the right direction. You showed up every single day, put in the work, and got the results which you have fully deserved. Josh, thanks for telling us your story. Final question from me. If anyone is watching this right now and is unsure about taking the next steps, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would definitely say other than just do it. I mean, honestly, I think yeah, I mean, I don't know how to put it other than just do it. I can say just from my experience, I definitely understand hesitation in regards to pulling the trigger and spending money on something that, you don't know if it's going to work. But I can speak from experience that this program works. It worked for me, and I was extremely undisciplined when I started. And so, like, yeah, anybody that's thinking about doing it, just from my own personal experience, I couldn't recommend it enough. I think that it is the one decision that has led to me being able to actually be a profitable trader and have the confidence to start looking into doing it full time. So, yeah, I can only speak on the results that I have, and I don't think anyone could possibly be any more undisciplined than I was. So if I can do it, I would say, as cliche as that sounds, like if I can do it, I think anyone can. And this program has been crucial for me doing that.
Josh, thank you for your time. Thank you for your kind words. And I know we'll be chatting again soon. Have a great rest
Yeah,
of your day.
absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good one.